Mio personaggio Yolanda
my character,
molto semplice,
plays a very simple part.
Come un testimone silenzioso di
a silent witness, basically, to everything that happens over this whole period of time, the time that Pietro spends in that piazza. And my character watches him, doesn't judge him, and then there is this understanding between the two of them that develops. It becomes quite intimate and silent. And I worked on trying to do as little as possible to be minimalistic. I didn't want to exaggerate anything, and I hope I was able to do that.
We
have time for another question, one last question.
No, per quanto riguarda la musica.
No, as far as music is concerned, the score, there was a question.
Intanto io ho cercato di fare una cosa
I tried to do something that is rarely done in Italian films,
d'autore, fra virgolette,
especially in art films.
E cioè ho tentato di inserire la batteria e quindi
to include
per fare questo ho sfruttato il fatto che Domenico Procacci, uno dei pochissimi produttori in Italia
one of the few Italian producers who understands how important music and songs are. Radio Freccia is one example. And so the first thing that I chose for music were the three English songs, Canadian songs, I believe, Stars, Rufus Wainwright, and Radio It.
Piccolo inciso sui Radiohead. I Radiohead nel libro hanno un'importanza fondamentale.
Plays a major role in the novel, and in this book there is Radio 8 and a cassette that the wife recorded, and so going through the city listens to the cassette and hears that then on the radio, and that's as if the wife were responding to the radio. So we haven't been able to recreate that, but he then, in his car, goes through the town, through the city, and we take up part of that song. Then the music continues and picks up on these three basic songs and develops the general theme of the film. Tipo pazzo. In the film you hear part of the theme, or you have the theme only played on the piano, and only in the very end where the dog runs away, that's where you hear the whole theme played by an orchestra. So in other words, the different parts of the theme are brought together and come to full fruition at the end. In the beginning you hear only percussion, only the drums. Ivano Fossetti, we thank him. He wrote the title music, which is part of an album which comes out in October, and also our soundtrack is available on CD. But also him, I asked him to go back to his origins and to not only have the piano, but to begin with the drums, and then we have piano and also solo guitar in between. Okay, well, we're somewhat overextending our timetable. One very last question. For Mr. Moretti, I have one question.
C'è quella parte che arriva Alessandro è parlata e lei gli riferisce, ma che l'hai letta nella Gazzetta dello Sport.
You mentioned the Gazzetta dello Sport, talking with your brother, Carlo, and this Gazzetta...
Corriere dello Sport,
No, it's not the Gazzetta, it's the Corriere, a different newspaper that mentioned the novel or not. Okay, another question. You made a film called Priver, and now you're coming out of this film, Caos Calmo. What would you say to those who brought down the Prodi government? Okay, this was a film that you're referring to 10 years ago in April. Well, let's talk about that some other time, because if we were beginning to talk about this, then this was the last question, wasn't it? Had you asked this question at the beginning, we could have talked about it and discussed it, but it would have been a long discussion. I think we should postpone this to some other date. Okay, let me just say, we also have Alessandro Pesci here, photographer, cinematographer,
il montatore Angelo Nicolini,
editor,
e poi lo scrittore del libro Sandro Veronesi.
And Sandro Veronesi, the author of the novel.
E l'aiuto regista Loredana Conte, là.
And Loredana Conte, assistant director.
No,
maybe just one observation from my part. It was a political question that was asked last. Let me remind you and remind me and remind us that in Italy this is the fifth political election in 14 years, and it's the second time around that a candidate is presenting himself against the public Italian television system, and I don't know if something like that has ever happened in your countries.
So, vielen Dank. Ich bedanke mich bei unseren Gästen.
Well, thank you everyone for coming.
Bis bald. Tschüss.
See you soon.
Grazie a tutti.